Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're tackling a mystery that has literally kept sports fans hooked for well over a decade. We're not just rattling off stats or staring at scorecards today. Nope, we are diving straight into the visual evidence behind the ultimate cricketing mindset. We're going to look really closely at the body language, the micro-expressions, and all those physical cues that show exactly why Virat Kohli simply never gives up, and how that very mindset completely rewired Indian cricket forever.
Because it all basically boils down to one massive question. आखिर विराट कोहली pressure में और dangerous क्यों हो जाते हैं? Seriously, when the walls are closing in, when that required run rate is skyrocketing, and the hopes of over 1 billion people are resting entirely on his shoulders, why does he actually get better? That's the central mystery we're unpacking today. We're going to visually break down exactly how his mind operates when he's under absolute fire. Section 1. Thriving in the pressure cooker. To really understand Kohli, you've got to understand the environment he operates in. Every single time he steps out there onto the pitch, he is walking into a suffocating wall of expectations. For a normal athlete, that kind of pressure is completely paralyzing. It just breeds doubt. But if you play body language expert with me for a second here, just look at his posture as he walks out. Shoulders are back, his gait is perfectly steady, bat held firm, helmet tucked tight. There's this incredibly calm, purposeful aura about him. He isn't shrinking from the deafening roar of the stadium. Actually, he's absorbing it. He uses that massive energy as the exact fuel he needs to power his performance.
Moving on to Section 2, the art of laser focus. Now, a confident walk is one thing, right? But what happens during that tiny fraction of a second when a cricket ball is hurtling towards you at 145 kilometers per hour? Just look at the absolute stillness at the crease in this split second. The most mind-blowing thing here is his head position. It is completely perfectly still. His eye line is laser sharp, totally level, and locked entirely on the point of contact. The stadium behind him is absolute chaos and noise. But in his head, he's created a total vacuum of silence. Literally nothing exists except the ball and the bat. And you can see how that focus translates right into his execution. Just look at the high elbow, the flawless balance, and that unwavering gaze tracking the ball long after the shot is played. Every single muscle is working in total harmony. His entire body is perfectly aligned with his goal. You just cannot achieve this level of biomechanical perfection in a high-stakes match unless you have unfiltered, absolute mental clarity under fire. So if we summarize what we're actually seeing here, the visual cues of this elite focus are super clear. A dead still head, unbroken eye contact, perfect physical balance, and complete psychological isolation from the stadium noise. The big takeaway you should get from this is that these aren't just batting techniques. They are physical, visual manifestations of an impenetrable psychological fortress. His mind is so ridiculously disciplined that his body just executes perfection, no matter how high the pressure gets. Which brings us to Section 3, channeling raw aggression. Here's the wild paradox about Virat Kohli. That quiet, zen-like focus we just talked about, it's actually powered by an underlying volcanic aggression. You can see this duality perfectly. On one hand, you have this ice-cold execution, a graceful, composed, totally flawless follow-through. But then, on the other hand, you get this fire-breathing, unbridled passion. It's an incredible contrast. Most players let aggression completely wreck their technique and make them reckless. But Kohli, he somehow keeps the fire burning furiously in the engine room while keeping his hands on the steering wheel ice-cold and steady. Let's look at his trademark fist pump, because it's a huge part of how he channels this emotion. Look at the sheer tension in his arm, the absolute intensity on his face. This visible aggression isn't just a happy reaction to a good play. It is a proactive weapon. He's intentionally using this physical display to establish dominance, to intimidate the opposition, and to send a crystal clear message. I'm here, I'm fighting, and you are absolutely not going to break me. But you know, aggression doesn't always look like a scream or a roar. Sometimes it looks exactly like this, a confident smile. In the absolute highest stakes moments, when the tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife, he'll sometimes just flash this relaxed, knowing smile. And guys, this is pure psychological warfare. It projects immense self-belief to his teammates, reassuring them, while completely demoralizing his rivals, who suddenly realize the pressure isn't getting to him at all. Section 4. A new era for India. Because Kohli's mindset didn't just end with Kohli, we have to look at the massive macro impact of his career. Look at his proud, steady posture as he acknowledges a milestone here. Raising that bat symbolizes way more than just his own personal runs. His never-give-up attitude was wildly infectious. It quite literally rewired the entire Indian dressing room. By showing up with this fighting spirit day in and day out, he turned a personal trait into a national habit. He taught a whole generation to look the opposition dead in the eye and refuse to take a backward step, lifting this massive psychological weight off a nation and proving they could completely dominate on the mental front. But we definitely have to acknowledge the cost. Look at the pure relief, that deep emotional release as he looks up at the sky. Sustaining this ruthless, pressure-absorbing attitude for well over a decade requires a massive, exhausting emotional investment. Being the absolute best, being the psychological shield for your entire team, it takes a really heavy toll. You can truly see the sheer human effort it takes to maintain that superhuman mindset right here. So the crucial point is this. When we step back and look at all this visual evidence, the calm walks, the perfectly still head, the roaring celebrations, and the exhausted relief, it all points to one undeniable truth. His true legacy isn't just the thousands of runs he's racked up. It's the fearless, uncompromising, never-say-die attitude that he permanently injected right into the DNA of Indian cricket. Which leaves us with his final thought to ponder. We've decoded the mechanics, the body language, and the psychology. But you really have to wonder, will world cricket ever see another competitor with this exact, paradoxical blend of ice-cold focus and fiery, unyielding aggression? It's a standard that might literally never be replicated. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope these visual insights gave you a whole new appreciation for the game. Keep analyzing, and I'll catch you next time.